I want to talk to you about immunity, about the Chinese medical view of the immune system. It's similar to the Western view, but it has some remarkably different ideas, and ideas that seem contrary to Western medical thinking only because the context is so different. And you have to have a little bit of understanding of the imaginary energetic landscape going on when you speak in terms of Chinese medicine. Now, it's considered to have 3 layers of immunity. And the first layer of immunity, or what is called the Wei Qi, or the protective Qi, is very similar to the Western medical idea of the immune system, in that the Wei Qi is thought to be responsible for the opening and the closing of the pores of the skin. Now you might think, well, what does that got to do with anything? But that is how our body works temperature regulation. It's like the thermostat, in that when it gets hot, the pores open up and we sweat. When it gets cold, the pores close down and we don't sweat. And this is very important to keep our body running at an optimal temperature. And you'll notice that different people sweat in different ways. There are people that are so weak that they sweat when they eat. And then there's people that are so physically fit that it takes quite a bit of exertion to get them sweating. And then there's different body types. Certain kinds of body types sweat more easily than others. But it's very important for our body to keep a certain level of temperature, and that has to do with the opening and the closing of the pores. But what's more important about the Wei Qi is similar to the Western idea of immunity, in that our exposure to bacteria and viruses. Now, in Western medical thinking, they say that we develop some immunity when we get exposed to these viruses and bacteria. In Chinese medical ideas, it's more about the elements. In other words, it's important that we get cold in the winter and hot in the summer, experience wind in the spring and humidity in the fall. These kinds of environmental factors will make our body work hard and keep it strong. And we can see this in modern life, how it's worked against us to not be involved in the natural elements. In the winter, we spend our time indoors and it's a little too warm all the time and we never really get cold. And there's lots of research now showing that getting cold is very good for our immunity and also our willpower, and to build up a certain amount of vitality. If we never allow ourselves to get cold and are not involved in the elements during the winter, we'll miss out on that. Conversely, in the summer, we have air conditioning now. So people seldom really get hot, and if they do, it's for a short period of time. They rush back in and they're in their air conditioning again. So we keep our bodies in the modern life, we baby them. We baby our bodies a little too much. Now, we're more comfortable, there's no doubt about that. However, our immunity suffers for that. And you can see that in the modern world, in that people live longer, but the last 20 years of their life is fraught with chronic disease. And a lot of these chronic diseases are because of their immunity, their immune system not being properly primed to fight back. And a big part of this is their Wei Qi, or their protective Qi, is weak due to not being exposed to the elements. Another aspect of our immunity is the channel, the energy in the channels, the energy, the Qi that's flowing through the 12 channels in the body. Now, when you go and see an acupuncturist, that's what they balance. Now, these little disharmonies or these little patterns, they're very simple. And you might think, well, that doesn't mean much. And each one of them individually doesn't mean much. But together, seen together with the astute eyes of a practitioner that knows what they're seeing, and this has again to do with what they see, what you tell them, what you write in your intake form, what your tongue looks like, what they palpate your body, different parts of your body will have different kinds of dysfunction or functionality, and together that'll create a picture, an imaginary landscape for treatment. And it is always proofed by the pulse. And pulse diagnosis is very unusual to the uninitiated in that there's 3 places on the pulse: the lower part of the body, the middle part of the body, and the upper part of the body. And then within those 3 places, there's 3 levels. So there's essentially 12 different spaces inside of the body that are from the bottom, middle, and upper, and then on the surface, just below the surface, and then deep. And there's these different qualities of the pulse. So between what the practitioner sees, what you tell them, and what they see in the tongue and what they see in the pulse, they get a relative reading of what is going on in the channels, in the meridians, and the qi flowing in the channels. So if we have a relative balance in our meridians and the internal organs are communicating well with each other, our immunity will be more optimal. And this becomes our mood and our emotions as well, because our emotions are energy in motion in the body. So, and this is well known in Western medicine that if you're depressed, your immune system will be depressed. If you're anxious, your immune system is not optimal. So our mood or our emotional landscape is very important when it comes to immunity. And how our energy, how the qi is flowing through the body is what our mood is. And this changes. It changes day to day. It changes hour to hour. So to think that you can just have some sort of remedy that creates balance and then they're balanced forever, that is a pipe dream. We are continually searching for balance. Then the third stage of immunity is our blood. Now, quality of blood is very important in Chinese medicine, and it's kind of misunderstood or not well. It's not misunderstood, but it's not as deep as it could be in Western thinking. Because in Western medicine, they're only looking for if you're anemic or not. But in Chinese medicine, the quality of your blood, particularly for women, is very, very important. And how strong our blood is always equal to how strong our qi is. So if there's problems in the channels and the qi's not flowing properly, particularly if it's weak, that'll point to some blood deficiency. Or if we're very excessive and excited, then the blood's going to be moving much too fast throughout the body. And at first, it'll look like an excessive amount of energy, but in time, it becomes a deficiency. So the quality of our blood is very important when it comes to immunity. And this will display itself, again, particularly in women, in their menstrual cycle. And the blood level is the deepest level in the body because the internal organs are being infused with this blood. But these details are very specific, but it's enough to know that if our blood is not strong, we are going to have problems with our immunity. Now, to get strong blood is all about nutrition. And good nutrition is vitally important to have strong blood. So again, in Chinese medicine, immunity has 3 components. Our Wei Qi, or our protective qi, which is how we deal with the external elements. Our energy, or our qi, and how the internal organs are communicating with each other. And the the qi is flowing adequately and clearly and smoothly in the body, and our blood level. How the blood, which is the mother of the qi, and the qi is the guider, is the master of the blood, and that the blood level things are kosher as well. That we have adequate nutrition, and that our blood is strong. These three levels of immunity protect us, guide us through life, and create an opportunity for us to enjoy life.